Hey Mighty, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. It's just after that depression day of yesterday for that.
I know what you mean, especially because, well, I'm sure that we will talk more about it once we get this video started, shall we?
Yeah, I suppose that might be true.
Hey, what's up ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Ray the Flying Squirrel here.
And I'm Mighty the Armadillo here. Welcome you all back for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos once again. I apologize for my depression voice at the moment because, again, we'll explain more details about this for this particular episode. So,
yeah, anyway, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Super Mario All-Stars, aka Super Mario Collection. For those of you who lived in Japan, while we're playing through Super Mario Bros. 3 for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, alongside with the Super Famicom version, and for those of you who played this on the Japanese console, as well as the Nintendo Wii, and finally the Nintendo Switch, due to the forms of the online services. So last time, we have completed not only World 3, but also World 4 as well, which I think is actually pretty cool if you ask me. So today, for this video, is about the fact that we're about to be hit on to World 5 next, which appears to be known as the Sky. Because obviously, much like the NES version of the game, that basically you start the world off as in on the ground, and then eventually at this point, until the halfway points of the world, basically we can able to experience the sky itself. So either way though, because chances are, that's when the game starts to get a bit lengthy. Well, at least it wasn't until whenever we get to the point until World 7, for instance, that about the fact that we're about to able to experience the longest world in the game. But either way, I did this no issues, especially because since I actually took damage right there, that way I can easily skip through certain enemies thanks to the invincibility frames and stuff like that. So, on to you, Mighty, to do level 2. Even though you're gonna be alright. Because, as far as you probably already noticed right from the start though, is that, well, today's date is of course the 28th of March today, in this case in 2023 today. Naturally speaking though, let's talk about the good stuff out of the way first, before we get to the forms of the bad stuff out of the way. First off, in terms of the good news content-wise, is that, well, for those of you who lived in the UK, happy 10th anniversary of the release of Luigi's Mansion 2 for the Nintendo 3DS. Despite the fact that a North American version calls it a different name, which is of course Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon. So yeah, I can't even believe it's been 10 years since when Luigi's Mansion 2 first came out on the Nintendo 3DS, even though it's a bit of a shame it's never been ported over to the Switch so far. Although, to be fair though, because of how the fact that obviously we've already got Luigi's Mansion 3 ever since in 2019, so I can possibly understand why that it's going to be exclusive to handheld devices for the likes of Luigi's Mansion 2, because it's more likely a mission structure based game. Like, you go through several missions with each and every single different mansions to explore, and even looking back in it right now, I still find it to be a really cool game to me though, even though about the fact that it does have some bit of issues lately, due to the forms about the fact that every time you complete one of those missions, well, much like the forms of how it does in Super Mario 64, you have to simply hit back into the actual, the main menu screen, and then you have to select that particular different mission on the exactly the same mansion as you got into. Well, you probably already know what I was trying to explain about this, especially concerning about the fact that, well, we've already completed the main story of Luigi's Mansion 2, while the only exception being is of course getting every single gold medals, alongside with the forms of capturing every single ghost, but that's the only things we haven't exactly done yet, but hopefully we'll get to that point in on our own time, so even then though, like, that way we can able to actually imagine myself about the fact that just looking back at the game, it just, you know, it's so nice to see, you know, Luigi's Mansion finally returns after, you know, 2001 and all that stuff though, but either way though, yeah, that's as far as I can usually say about this, despite the fact that, you know, Luigi's Mansion 2 did somehow manage to able to get a long-awaited development time. Well, because it was expected to able to be originally released on 2012, but then they delayed it until 2013, because obviously marks the, you know, the 30th anniversary of Year of Luigi and stuff like that. Well, despite the fact that that was actually kind of a flop experience when it comes to Year of Luigi. Now, don't get me wrong, we still find Luigi a pretty cool character to me though, but it's a shame that the actual money loss after that particular event has been over, then it's kind of hard to explain, because I know for a fact it's been about quite a few days since we actually discussed upon this. So it looks like that you, Mighty, are about to take on the tower level, and I can definitely tell you're going to be using a P-Wing after all, because unlike the NES version of this particular playthrough, that there is actually a secret up there that can only be accessed if you do somehow manage to activate the P-Wing item, so that way you can get into this pipe. And relatively speaking, I think that arrow of coins, something tells you there's going to be something well hidden in there if you manage to try to find it. So, and as it turns out, there's a 1-up up there. So it looks like that you've almost caught up to me with the amount of extra lives as you can probably imagine. But either way, though, I highly doubt that whenever we get to the sky portion of this entire world, then basically, though, we can able to actually gather as many of those extra lives as we could. So, but either way, though, and also another good news about this as well, is about the fact that, well, I think, relatively speaking, we've only just got about, is it about, like, 8 days left until, the actual movie comes out? You know, the Super Mario Bros. Movie on the big screen?
Well, according to the calendar, it did say we've only got about 8 days left until the film is gonna come out.
So, yeah, perfect opportunity about the fact that, you know, as we said this countless amount of times already, that basically once we're done with Super Mario All-Stars, then we can pretty much easily celebrate it with it. So, either way though, so, yeah, let me know in the comments down below for the question of the day. What is your experience of Luigi's Mansion 2 after 10 years since when it first came out on the Nintendo 3DS? Did you enjoy it? Looking back? Because usually, personally, though, I still enjoy it even to this day. Even though, despite the fact that, well, it does have some, issues. But regardless of such, though, I do certainly think it's well worth your time to able to get Luigi's Mansion 2 on cartridge version. Because, well, if you probably already noticed already from the start, though, is that ever since in yesterday, me and Mighty just have a bit of a tragic story from the likes of the films of yesterday. Although, mind you, about the fact that Maxi is alright for the most part ever since in yesterday, because obviously that I suppose we should probably explain all that in a moment, because if you couldn't tell already about the fact the matter is though, he decided able to go through one of those bravest off the mall challenges now, and because of that though, he's actually not doing too bad actually, especially concerning about the fact that despite he does have some bit of struggle moments here and there when it comes to able to try to surround those Heffalumps and Wurzels every now and then because of the strict time limit thing. But regardless of such though, he's doing rather well for the sake of the forms of, to the point where he's almost done with the forms of Piglet's Big Game before he moves on to the next set of Let's Plays in the future. But again, we can't tell you exactly what it is, but either way, that might be saying something, so. And of course, keep that in mind, in order able to proceed to this particular world, is that you need to able to go for this mini level first with that, you know, spiral tower thing, and that way you can able to get into the sky itself, which I was actually currently onto right now. So either way, that way I can now able to actually hit on to this second half in terms of the forms of the sky world itself. So either way though, oh yeah, because of that though, relatively speaking though, as far as we've already mentioned about this already, that ever since in yesterday, well, I'm sure that Maxi has already explained about any of those specific stuff since the journey forms have been yesterday. It has been a very, very sad day yesterday. It's most likely because, relatively speaking, as you know, the Wii U and 3DS eShops are both dead, especially concerning that you can no longer get digital games for certain 3DS games, including download exclusive titles as well. Even Virtual Console games is dead as well, and on top of that, Wii U games for digital purchases and stuff like that is also no longer existent. And heck, let's not forget ourselves with the forms of DLC content between both the 3DS and the Wii U as well, meaning that it's time to say goodbye to the new Super Mario Bros. 2 pieces of DLC, assuming of course if you do have the 2DS itself with the new Super Mario Bros. 2, pre-installed version, which does contain a special edition version, well, assuming if you're lucky enough if you manage to obtain one, and say goodbye to the forms of Mario Golf World Tour DLC, so it's time to say goodbye to Toadette, alongside with Nabbit being playable, and Gold Mario, although except for Rosalina, because obviously in Mario Sports Superstars, they still can technically able to play as Rosalina in the golf sport, but aside from all that stuff though, yeah, it's a shame that, well, some stuff has to be gone and going. And on top of that, say goodbye to the forms of the 3DS and Wii U DLC for the likes of Super Smash Bros. 4, for the sake of the forms of, you know, Mewtwo, Lucas, as well as Roy, Ryu, Cloud, and Corrin, and Bayonetta. But at least luckily, those fighters are now already a thing in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, so yeah, everything else is not lost or anything, except the fact that, well, relatively speaking though, it's a bit of a shame that, well, you can no longer purchase them on the actual Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U and 3DS as well. And on top of that, another thing is worth noting for is about the fact that we did somehow manage able to post a community post during the Informs event yesterday as well, that because of that though, yeah, you can probably check it out if you can, unless if you obviously subscribe to our channel, you know exactly what I'm about to say. So either way though, yeah, it looks like for you, Mighty, you seemed able to actually just keep on hesitating for yourself when it comes to trying to avoid the insane amount of enemies, but luckily for you, you did somehow manage to get 5 lives. So at least you did somehow caught up, and you might as well able to guarantee you did pretty well this time around. Compared to the forms of how it does it on the NES version, it feels a bit all over the place on the NES version for your experience anyway, because,
well, I could definitely show you right off the bat though, because, I think it's probably because the wire on my NES controller seems a bit too short for the actual cable wire. Well, I kinda wish I just wanted able to get myself the wireless controller instead. Although, to be fair for this point, Mighty, it's about the fact that, well, since you've now got the Super Nintendo controller with you onto your SNES Mini, that way you don't need to worry about the forms of this shortened, wire length. So, either way, because chances are, you have no issues for this point, so
alright, so I'm about to tackle for the forms of this level right here, even though I think using the Starman on this level seems to be kind of a bad idea, because obviously the main gimmick of this stage is, of course, you know, the Parabeetles right here, so that way we can able to actually take a ride on them before we able to actually just realize that we don't want to fall into that massive bottomless pit down below, because otherwise, if you mistime your jumps on those Parabeetles, then basically though it's about the fact that you fall off and die. But again, no checkpoints at all. Oh, I get it. This is the world that it starts to introduce into ourselves. Probably is the most annoying enemy in the entire game, in my opinion. That's of course those godforsaken fire chomps. So, good lord, why did these things exist? Although it's bad enough during the forms of in the future games in the series though, but still, I just have no idea why I've managed able to complain about any of those specific stuff, mind you. It seems like we're actually doing not too bad for when it comes to like obtaining these Starman cards in each and every single level.
Yeah, tell me about it, especially concerning about the fact that, well, oh yeah, I suppose another thing I should probably explain about this as well is that someone said in the comments, during the forms of in Sonic Origins playthrough, oh, you know, with the forms of the mission mode, as far as what Sonic has already tackled through, what's the actual, commotion exactly?
Well, did you know about the fact that obviously Disney is already working on, you know, the live-action adaptations in not only The Little Mermaid, but it's also, say, applies to Peter Pan and Wendy? Oh god, I don't want to mention about both of these things at the same time, because let me tell you, it really disappoints me the most, especially concerning about the fact that I'm definitely not going to be able to watch those in day one. Absolutely not.
Well, apparently though, they're also about to be working on other, live-action adaptations as well.
Oh boy, what are they up to this time?
Well, let's just say, he did mention something related to, like, well, obviously they're gonna be working on Hercules at some point.
Oh god, I'm hoping they're not gonna mess this up, because Hercules is without doubt is one of my favorite childhood memory of movies I've ever seen, especially concerning about the fact that, you know, oh god, I failed my jump. Ah, there goes my, not only my useless Starman, but also my raccoon suit as well. Ah, jeez, that was actually a pretty bad timing jump right there. But I'm sure you pretty much you can basically get this, so...
Yeah, because that's exactly how I roll. So...
Anyway, what are you about to be saying?
Yeah, they working on Hercules at some point in the future, and on top of that, there's gonna be Snow White.
Well, despite the fact that usually for Snow White's case, they've already managed able to do the live-action adaptation of Snow White multiple times. Like, there was one in the forms of Snow White and the Huntsman, and on top of that, there was also Mirror Mirror, for I've heard. Even though, despite the fact that I haven't exactly watched any of these films, because I must be honest here, I'm actually just gonna have to stick around with the classic traditional animated version to me though.
And they're also gonna be working on Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Oh god, really? What else?
There's also gonna be the Aristocats.
Oh my god, how could this thing get worse?
Well, and there's also, let's just say a prequel to The Lion King called Mufasa the Lion King, which is a sequel to the pretty pointless 2019 live-action adaptation of The Lion King.
Oh my god. Why did this never end?
And there's also Tink.
Okay. And what about the other ones?
There's also gonna be Sword in the Stone.
Okay. I'm not exactly sure I'm optimistic about this. What else is there?
Robin Hood.
Oh my god.
And there's also gonna be Bambi.
Oh my god, no! Why are they gonna do this? I mean, they obviously did screw up that twice within the golden age with these animated films, like in a live-action treatment. They screwed up on Dumbo, and also they did screw up Pinocchio. How could... I'm just basically done with these kind of stuff.
And finally, most notably, is Lilo and Stitch.
Oh my lord. I'm hoping they're not gonna screw up Stitch as the forms of that particular design, aren't they?
Well, let's just say I get the horrible feeling they might able to actually get this little risk term, so...
Oh my god, how many of those... I just need to take a deep breath and just calm down and play a bit of Super Mario Bros. 3 with Mighty. At least Mighty is doing quite well on this level, while simply dodging those Lakitus and all that stuff, but... Okay. Sorry about that little rant right here, especially because, well, it seems like Disney's pretty much gonna be, well, all over the place right now, especially concerning about the fact that, well, at this point in time, I basically already give up on, you know, live-action adaptations, especially because, you know, it's getting old very fast. Although, I'm guessing the reason why they're working on these is because they want money. Like, they're now becoming Mr. Krabs of all things from the SpongeBob community. Well, I just have no idea why I've managed able to saying about this, but still. But, anywho, let's talk about the last thing for today's discussion, though, and that is about the fact that, well, let's just talk about the forms of our good old memories when it comes to the 3DS and Wii U eShops. I do remember for one thing in mind. Well, before we get into more details onto that, though, it's no longer possible you can probably able to get, you know, the Fire Emblem Awakening, or actually, no way, the, Fire Emblem Fates DLC expansion anymore, just because the eShop is now closed. And on top of that, there's no longer going to be possible you can able to get the digital DLC of New Super Luigi U. Well, still, luckily for you guys out there, for those who ever missed that out, basically there's still technically you get a chance to play New Super Luigi U on the Wii U, because there's still technically a physical version of it. Oh, let's talk about that in a moment, because that enemy right there, with that particular mysterious bird right there, that's actually very similar to that particular enemy based off also from Super Mario Bros. 2, aka Super Mario USA.
Yeah, because that's exactly what I was going to be thinking about, because obviously with that familiar sprite of that particular bird-like enemy that the king did somehow transform into, so either way though, that might be some consumption, so...
So anyways, looks like I get the feeling it's your turn to take on another airship fortress level, as far as you can probably tell from the actual perspective right there. So, but yeah, that's as far as I can think about it. And let's talk about the actual, the good old days of the eShop with the 3DS and Wii U. We did have a really great time back in the day that we somehow managed to got, you know, some of these Game Boy / Game Boy Color games that we haven't experienced yet. And on top of that, some exclusive digital stuff here and there as well. Like, I do remember the good old times of playing Kirby sub-game expansions for the actual eShop apps. Well, specifically the 3DS most likely. And on top of that, it's great able to actually see the Wii games get its digital treatment on the Wii U, despite the fact that the only option is for you right now is of course trying to able to get the game physically, despite the fact that Metroid Prime Trilogy and Xenoblade Chronicles both on the Wii, they both are going to be pretty expensive. Although, luckily for Xenoblade Chronicles 1, there is actually now a cheaper option by simply getting yourselves the new 3DS version on the physical format, and especially noticeable with the Switch version as well. So there's actually two different options you can now able to experience, you know, Xenoblade Chronicles, the original game. So, and it's no longer possible you can get Xenoblade Chronicles X digitally, because the only option you do have now is of course getting the thing physically. So, and there we go folks, that pretty much does it for World 5. So now we'll move on to World 6, in this case Iceland, or Iceland to be more specific. So anyway, so we'll got the endings off at this point right here, so join us next time for more of Let's Play of Super Mario All-Stars while we're playing through Super Mario Bros. 3. Instead, as I said before, we're going to be moving on to World 6, known as Iceland. So we'll see you guys until on Thursday.
Later, dudes.
See you guys then.